It made it sound like that was when you realised you were gay. That's when it clicked.
That's when it clicked.
That's why I didn't. That's why I thought boobs were disgusting.
That's why I've been Roger and Jamie the last 6 months.
Just 6 months.
Hello and welcome to the JADed podcast, where we are still trying to figure out our format. I am Andrew, here with my proverbial sparring partner, Jamie. How you doing, Jamie?
Still trying to figure out a format. We've started. That's so professional. First episode, and we're just like, yeah, let's just wing it.
Second episode, boy.
Second episode. Fuck, man.
Yeah, we were last there Halloween. Then you disappeared for a long time, and we honestly thought you were dead.
I journeyed into the Scottish mountains.
Yeah.
I had to have a fight to the death with a sword wielding Scotsman.
Did you win?
I did, of course. There could be only one.
So you're the Kurgan in this situation.
Yeah, I am.
You know the Kurgan had a sword that would. Have you seen Highlander?
I've seen. It's pretty bad. I've seen a couple of episodes of the series.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So I thought the series was okay, but in the film, the Kurgan has a sword that slots together. So there's the handle, there's the hilt, and then the blade is in two pieces, and it slots on.
That's kind of like IKEA weaponry.
Well, when I told my fiancée, the first thing she did was mime swinging the sword, the end coming off, and her looking off in the distance.
Hey, you remember Bravo?
What the English show with the little devil?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where I watched it. Bravo used to play like nothing, but like a Sunday morning you'd go up, Bravo would be playing Xena, Warrior Princess, Hercules, and the Highlander series.
Yeah, and both of those were Xena and Hercules both used to play on Channel 5.
Oh, really?
Back when
after Bravo fucking died of death.
It might have been before actually, because I remember watching the Hercules stuff when I'm like 8.
Oh, right.
Watching Xena as well. Yeah,
You said I grew up in an old-fashioned East London. I remember you grew up above the bagel shop.
The bagel shop.
I always remember skipping down those cobbled streets to meet you outside your bagel shop house.
You used to shout up and you go, Mr. Brian! Mr. Brian, can Andrew come out? And my dad would be like a bit, Andrew!
Yeah. I just sidestepped the bucket of shit your mum was throwing out the top window.
Andrew! The Jimmy van wants to see you! And then I would wheel down the stairs.
Yeah, in your wooden wheelchair.
Worth mentioning, I'm not being offensive right now. I grew up in a wheelchair.
And your mum would say, you used to going somewhere safe? And I say, yeah, we're just going down to the cobblers.
Yeah, but what we'd actually do is we'd go to the park by the stream.
Yeah. And play with our stick and hoops.
And do cocaine.
Oh, what is happening? So, yeah. That's what happens when you start a podcast or whatever.
So, Star Wars The Last Jedi came out, and it has been heralded as the best Star Wars film since Empire Strikes Back, and the worst Star Wars film since ever. Maybe since The Phantom Menace.
Yeah, it's pretty polarising. It's the deadly premonition of Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. Because I think it goes back to that thing that we always end up talking about, which is the disconnect between critics and audiences.
Yes. Yeah.
And how I think that is completely misunderstood. Because when it has an audience score of 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, people think, oh, so general audiences don't like it. No. General audiences don't know that Rotten Tomatoes is a thing.
Yeah.
Like, my dad does not know what Rotten Tomatoes is.
No, yeah.
He might see a review on BBC.
I think it's the same for any sort of like IMDb reviews.
Yeah, they are.
You can only leave one if you've signed up for IMDb. So, like, what is it? I think the best sort of cross section of reviews is like Amazon or somewhere where you can buy it, because sometimes you go on Amazon and read a review for a video game and just like, I bought this for my son. He seems to like it. 5 stars. And I think that's like a. I think that's the truest form of a general public review.
It's like, is it enjoyable?
It's like, I enjoyed this, I didn't enjoy this, and I think there's a really good cross section there, because at the same time you do also have people who get really fucking angry about that sort of stuff and write proper big long-winded reviews and video reviews and all that sort of stuff, who also go on there. So it's a really good cross section of general public opinion.
Well, I think we are also, and when we did the Suicide Squad review video, or like the video on the reviews, I said something along the lines of, you'll get more if you want to learn about why films work or don't work. Don't bother with reviews. Look at analysis. Look at talks from writers and things like that. Because the thing is, and as much as it's a bit rich coming from us because we take the piss out of stuff all the time, but as a critic, it's like what Al Snow says: is anyone can have an opinion, and they don't need any reasoning for that opinion at all. Mm-hmm. And I think that movie critics who see a lot of films, they look for the things like character arc, good cinematography, and all the same stuff that I look for. But at the end of the day, it's what a film makes you feel. Like I saw The Greatest Showman just after New Year's, which was not a critically loved film, but I watched it, and it just came down to, how did I feel watching it? And I like it. Yeah, I just do.
I think the moment where that really sort of like, the point where I really noticed where that disconnect is music reviews. I was reading a couple of album reviews, and I just thought, this is so pointless, because with something like music, a song about a certain subject can speak to a certain person for a certain reason. Fuck, maybe you listened to a song at a certain time in your life, and now you have memories associated with that song.
Yeah, of course.
Or the song lyrics just, there's the story that happens in the song is something similar to what you've experienced, whereas someone else who doesn't have that might not enjoy it or like it. And then so you read a review of someone saying, well, this is a shit song, but you might think, well, it's not, because to me it means something a lot more.
Yeah, of course.
And so I just sort of realised that the whole thing was sort of pointless. And I think that can also cross over into movie reviews and game reviews. I think the only time it really sort of matters is if there's someone who I like on the internet who does reviews like that, and there's someone who I know that their tastes and my tastes align pretty well, or I know that I respect their opinion, or even just a discussion piece. I think when it comes to Star Wars, being super polarizing is better than if it was just like, hey, everyone thinks it's okay, or everyone thinks it's a bit naff.
Yeah.
I think the fact that there's it creates discussion, and discussion is
time changes this sort of thing. Like, there's two good examples. Empire Strikes Back, when it first came out, was not a critically beloved darling, and it was not very popular with the fans, but now it's considered to be the best film. Conversely, Back to the Future Part 2, which I will stand by in saying is the weakest of the films, it has the most problems, that was not critically loved at the time at all. But now people are militantly defensive of it for people who just say the same things as what people said back then, which was that it is overly repetitive and the gimmick wears thin, a lot of the plot threads don't really make sense, and you can tell that it was a sequel they didn't plan on making, as opposed to the third one, which was acclaimed, like the first one was. Like,
it happens a hell of a lot with big budget video games.
Yeah.
You can look back at games that came out and got critically lauded, and then a few years later people sort of realised, oh wait, we were wrong, or games that came out and didn't get that great reviews, but then after time people went back and sort of rediscovered them. I think games like when Resident Evil 5 came out, I mean it was no accident that Resident Evil 5 got great reviews at the same time that there were banner ads for Resident Evil 5 on every single one of those review websites. But then if you go back now and look at people's opinions of Resident Evil 5, it's changed drastically.
Well, think of Titanic, Critical Darling. Critical Darling, and now I think most people go, it's not good. It's not good.
I think sometimes it can be attributed slightly to like something being a product of the times. You can look back at something that works in the year that it's released but doesn't hold up over time, and you can think, well, I understand why people gave it these reviews at this time and why things will change now. But then there's some things that, I mean, I guess the argument would be that great art should hold up forever.
Well, I think a lot of the complaints with Star Wars: The Last Jedi seem to be, okay, like spoiler warning, guys. We're spoiling stuff now. Bye.
You don't want to listen to spoilers. Fuck off.
So a lot of people were mad that their fan theories weren't correct. Like, Rey is not a Skywalker, is not an Obi-Wan Kenobi, is not an Obi-Wan, is not a Kenobi, stuff like that, and she's just no one. And I maintain this because Rian Johnson was given more or less creative freedom from what we've heard, because they didn't have a plan for these, they're making it up as they go along, which they shouldn't have done.
Much as they did with the original trilogy.
You just know that J.J. Abrams did plan for her to be a Skywalker. But Rian Johnson obviously went, no.
But that worries me slightly, because
Abrams is back.
Yeah, because in The Last Jedi, when it's quote unquote revealed that her parents are, it's not that much of a reveal. It's just Kylo Ren goes, "Go on, you know the truth," and she says, "My parents are nobodies." To me, that seems like that's not definitive, or it could be made not definitive in a sense of that could just be Kylo Ren being an arsehole, being you know that you're trash, you know that you're nothing, and she's going, "Yeah, you're right, I am trash." When neither of them actually know. And in the third one, it's revealed that actually a Kenobi fucked a Skywalker, and she's the daughter of them both.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
She's a Kenobi walker.
This is the scary thing as well, because I firmly believe that they need to get away from the Skywalkers.
Yeah, I
think as well as that, a lot of people were complaining about Luke's character, and loads of people saying that he was acting out of character, and I'm thinking, not really. That's like he turned on the lightsaber for a moment and he was going to kill Ben. It's like, well, this does show character growth.
Yeah.
Because he turned on the lightsaber, thought about it, and went, "No, I can't do this." As opposed to in Return of the Jedi, where he lost his temper, turned on the lightsaber, started smacking 7 shades of shit of Darth Vader, cut off his hand, and was about to kill him there on the spot. It's not really out of character. And the thing is why is he going to be the same 30 years on?
Oh, yeah.
Now, I get that Mark Hamill doesn't really like the character, and some people have been sharing around this thing where he's been saying, "Listen, no, I just didn't agree at the time. After I saw the film, I sort of realised." And I think, well, that's neither here nor there, because you don't know if he's actually changed his mind or if that's Kathleen Kennedy saying, "Mark, please stop.
Please don't shit talk our biggest fucking money maker."
Yeah, like, just Mark, just calm it down. Calm it down. You're only going to be in the next one for like 5 minutes. So you're saying, well, Mark Hamill says he's changed his mind. You can't go on that, because that could easily be them saying, "Listen, we really need you to not do this." I mean, there's not much sway they could have over Mark Hamill. He's Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
But
he doesn't really need to give a fuck anymore.
No,
at his age.
Yeah, obviously, The Last Jedi has underperformed when compared to The Force Awakens, and some people are saying that that's proof that Star Wars is waning, and I think that's not the case. I don't think it's Star Wars waning. I think it's just it was never, ever going to make as much money as The Force Awakens because the novelty is gone.
Mm-hmm.
The novelty of The Force Awakens, it was the first Star Wars film in... Was it 12 years?
I have no idea.
No, it came out
what
2015. 10 years, because Revenge of the Sith was 2015. Revenge of the Sith was 2005, sorry.
Okay.
So first Star Wars film in 10 years.
I felt like
Actually,
it had been longer.
That's not a very big span of time at all, is it?
Like,
No.
When did Saw 7 come out? Like, it wasn't
sure.
quite 10 years, but franchises go like it's not like Tron where it was like here's Tron
time.
2 30 years later,
Or Blade Runner.
Or Blade Runner, yeah. 10 years isn't that
Yeah.
long, really, is it? I think either way, I think that getting like stopping following the Skywalker storyline is a good way to branch open the franchise in general. Because if you're stuck to following these Anakin, Luke, and then another Skywalker, and then you're stuck to one linear story where it kind of feels like, alright, all of the most important shit in the world is happening to these couple of people. It's a bit silly. But then, if now you've revealed that she's a no one, and everybody involved now is just their own people, and then the Skywalkers all fuck off before the end of the third film, then now you've got a bunch of people you can follow for another trilogy or for more spin-offs, and you can just branch the franchise out anywhere. So it makes more money, makes more sense from a business perspective to branch it off in that way.
Star Wars is not as broad a universe as fans make it out to be. They think, oh, but there's all this and this and this and this, but it always revolves around the Jedis.
Yeah.
Eventually. And certainly in terms of the films, it always revolves around the Jedi. No, there isn't a Star Wars film so far. I don't mean the Solo movie that's coming out in May, might I add, and we've not even seen a teaser trailer.
Wait, this May?
This May.
I thought it was just a December thing. I thought it was every
No.
December.
No, right. This May, and it's having more reshoots.
Oh, man. Oh, God. I mean, sometimes that... I mean, it's a bit of a weak defence, but Mad Max Fury Road had late reshoots, and it done the film wonders. Like, that film is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But that's the exception, I think, rather than the rule.
Yeah.
I think reshoots is
normally indicates there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And apparently Solo has this.
Is it just me, or is that happening more and more lately?
Well, they kicked off Lord and Miller, and I'm stupid. I'm glad, because when I found out why, it was because they were adding in loads of 21 Jump Street style improv humour,
Right.
and Lawrence Kasdan, who, is kind of pretty good at writing Harrison Ford characters, and he's not in the film, was having none of it.
Okay.
And I'm glad they're gone, but at the same time, that it's a film that you can't make.
Yeah,
you can't make.
What's the point? I mean, we're all going to go see it. It's going to make lots of money, so.
I'm hoping I don't see it, to be honest.
I'm probably going to see it.
Well, I think when they...
It's weird that it's not coming in December.
Yeah.
Normally, I thought
now it might end up coming out in
probably,
December because of... These revivals, though, I maintain the two best revivals have been Blade Runner and Mad Max, which were the original creative team and extended... Well, Mad Max Fury Road doesn't really extend the story, but extend the ideas without being like, look, here's the chess set from Star Wars in that one scene. Look, here's this bit from that one scene. Like, Blade Runner 2049 has some references that are integral to the plot. Blade Runner doesn't really fan service you, and Fury Road doesn't really fan service at all.
No, there's nothing really I can think of that you can watch Fury Road and enjoy it as a film without having seen any of the other Mad Maxes.
Because it's stylistically very different from them as well, which is funny because it's the same director.
Yeah. And strangely, considering it's the fourth in the franchise, I think it's the most Mad Max at its core.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because you'd think that the original trilogy would have set the atmosphere, but I think that the atmosphere is perfected in the fourth film, and I think that they distilled it down to what makes it great, and just stretched it out over like a 2-hour runtime.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are surprised when they go back to Mad Max and they realise how much talking there is.
Oh, which is Mad Max 1?
Which is not necessarily a negative in terms of like 2 and 3, but Mad Max 1, the very first one, I think is...
I like Mad Max 1, but it's a slow film.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the same thing out of that as you are any of the others, really.
Yeah. Mad Max is a very disconnected franchise tonally in a lot of ways. Like you look at Mad Max 2, which is probably what people think of being Mad Max, and you have Mad Max 3, which has all the Thunderdome stuff, and you're like,
fucking great,
pretty Mad Max. See, and then it stops.
Mad Max is good. It brings us full circle, because Mad Max brings us to the disconnect between reviews, customer reviews or public reviews, and the critics. Because the game that came out, there was a lot of reviews that said the critic reviews. There were like people who were saying that it was really boring and repetitive, blah blah blah, because there was a lot of optional content in there that gets repetitive. I personally think, because there's a shitload of busy work to do in the open world, where you can run around for hours and hours finding bits of scrap in little areas and discovering all these tiny little areas that are all over the map. And a lot of the critic reviews are like, oh, it's all just busy work, it's boring, bad game. Whereas I think if it's optional, it's fucking optional. You can't say it's a bad game because it has optional content that you don't have to fucking complete.
Yeah.
But also there were a few reviews that said, oh, it's not a good Mad Max game, which is, I think, objectively incorrect. That game is very Mad Max, I think if you're after
on the slow side for Mad Max, I think it should have had a bit more twisted metal in it. Really,
the first few hours are a lot more sort of getting to know everything, whereas it opens up a lot at the end. Because there's some crazy moments at the end that I don't want to spoil because they're fucking fantastic.
I love the idea of roaming the wasteland, but the problem is that goes back to the sort of thing of open world games are inherently kind of slow.
Yeah,
because you've got a big open world to get through, and I'm not completely sure how much I like that for Mad Max.
So the bottom area of the map. The one thing I do love about the map as well is there are like 5 very distinct areas. You've got the area that you open up in is where the sea has dried up. So it's just a seabed. It's just a sandy seabed with a couple of boats in it. You go over to the left and there's like a swamp area, but it's like sulfur plains. So it's like this horrible green sulfur swamp. As you head up more, obviously you're heading from the sea up the beach onto like the coastal area. And so you actually head into like some really old, buried, dilapidated towns, and there's like an airport and shit. And so I think what I like is the fact that that the areas are very distinctive. You know where you are on the map just by looking around you.
No, that is cool.
Yeah, I think So
that's what a lot of open world games end up missing as well.
Yeah,
especially like.
Yeah, there's so many open world games where you can just be like running around and be like not know where you are because everything looks the same. Like I said, Fallout 4. Fallout 4 is just apocalyptic wasteland from end to end.
The roads are the dustiest. The roads are the dustiest. The roads are the dustiest.
Yeah, I feel like Grand Theft Auto 5 kind of cheated as well.
Yeah,
where like they've got the biggest map in any Grand Theft Auto game, and when like a fifth of it is a city. And then the rest of it is just like a mountain and some fields. And so you kind of cheated. You kind of started off at the bottom and then and build a city, and then you were like, fuck it, we need to make it big. Fields, big empty fucking fields, roads that lead to other roads, and
I think
trailer park.
I think Skyrim does the open world quite well. People moan that it's smaller, but to be fair, there's never really a point in Skyrim where I don't have a rough idea of what hold I'm in. You have, because there is a, like if you're surrounded by volcanic springs, you definitely know you're to the east. If you're surrounded by huge rocky mountains without much snow, you know you're to the west near High Rock. Disney-Fox merger. As Kanye West said, no one man can have all that power.
Well, it sounds like I'm not all too familiar with the specifics of this. I know that Fox has basically segmented itself into parts and sold part of itself off.
It sold the movies and TV.
Yeah,
Disney.
my prediction was that
they're pumping that money into Fox News.
My prediction was that they were going to keep hold of their news broadcasting services, because let's face it, whoever controls the news controls public opinion.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yep.
People watch the news, and things that they see on the news they'll tend to agree with because it's the news. The news doesn't lie, and so you'd be stupid to sell any sort of major news broadcasting organisation.
I believe it's Murdoch, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fucking
I'm glad you said that because I wasn't sure then, and you got there before I did.
But apparently he's looking to sell Sky as well. Sell parts of Sky. I don't know. I think he's already sold parts of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Disney just fucking eating up everything.
It's not a monopoly yet. But think about Universal owned by Comcast. Universal and Paramount decided they would merge to try and combat that. Then, because you've no longer got the big four, you would just. Because it was the big five until now, but you could end up with like two big ones, and eventually it's like that's not good for entertainment.
No, it's not.
People are going, "Oh, the X-Men are going to be in the MCU now," and I'm like, wow,
like that's all
wow, that's your priority, is it? That the X-Men are going to be in the MCU? That's your priority.
Yeah, it's weird that everything's just sort of. Like a fucking Katamari, Disney Katamari, rampaging through, just picking up everything and growing and growing and growing, and eventually there will be nothing but Disney.
They make a joke about it, I think, in Cloud Atlas, which is not something I'd recommend, but they say that I think I'm sure it's Cloud Atlas where there's a one-off line that films are no longer called films, they're called Disneys.
Is that the one where Tom Hanks is in the future, present and past, and meets a woman in the future, present and past, and they have like the same love going on in like different. Am I thinking of something completely different?
I don't know. I think I'm not sure because this is the thing with the Wachowskis.
That's a film, right? There is a film where Tom Hanks is split over 3 different periods in time and falls in love with the same woman in 3 different periods of time, and they're like, "Hey, man, this seems familiar."
I mean. It sounds like something the Wachowskis would do.
I mean, if that isn't a film, I feel like I've just pitched a film.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people are all excited and going, "Oh, but that means that Wolverine's going to be in the MCU and stuff." And if there's one thing that bothers me about it, especially if you're going to I'll just go lowest common denominator and just talk about superhero films for a moment. The X-Men franchise takes risks.
Yeah, there's different styles. Like
the New Mutants is coming out. It's a horror film. Deadpool's an R-rated
comedy. The New
comedy.
Mutants looks fucking dope.
Yep. Logan's a western.
So, like, the Marvel films, when you're watching a Marvel film, it feels like a Marvel film.
Yeah.
When you're watching a DC film, it feels like a DC film. When you're watching one of the Fox films, it feels like one of their films. If everything is just going to go and take in the same style, then all of the films are just going to become the same thing. Which they pretty much already are, but it will get even worse.
That's a big part of my issue with Marvel. And there was a comment I saw on the internet, as comments often are.
That's where they live.
It full on triggered me. Someone posted a video on the problem that they had with Marvel films, where the colour grading was very washed out, sort of grey blue sort of tone, which it is. Yeah. People say, "Oh, but look at all the colourful, like Iron Man's red and gold, Hulk is green. Look at the colours." Yeah, but the colours aren't popping.
Yeah.
And someone made a video on that, and every frame of painting did a video on how the Marvel movie music
is just really indistinct,
just sort of not there.
Yeah.
And someone left a comment, and if you're listening to this,
commenter,
it's you. It's you.
Was it that one guy?
It might have been. No, this guy, he goes, it seems like every video's got some... Like every YouTuber's got some video on the problem with Marvel movies. And it's like, well...
Maybe they're just not great.
That's the thing. That's the thing. It's like they're not outstanding films. Not really. I agree with Red Letter Media when they say they're consistently okay. They have never done a film as good as Logan. They've never had a film as good as The Dark Knight. To be fair, they've never had a film as bad as Green Lantern. But yeah. Iron Man 2 is about as close as you could get. It's just a trailer.
Trying to think.
You know the one with Mickey Rourke?
Yeah, no, I know what one Iron Man 2 is. I'm just trying to think if there's what other Marvel films there are. I'm just wondering if there is one worse.
The reason for that is that the reason there are people pointing out the flaws with Marvel films is because Marvel films are flawed.
Yeah.
Every film has got flaws.
Oh, yeah.
But when you make a movie like... The stuff about Marvel paying off critics, that's obviously nonsense. Mm. It's not that. What it actually is that Marvel fans are so rabid that critics don't want to say anything because they'll get death threats and pipe bombs in the mail.
I mean, it's not quite like Konami review boot camps.
Jesus Christ! You want to talk about corruption?
But in terms of like just Disney in general,
Konami review boot camps. Dare I say Gamergate?
Don't do it.
But
no, but you know what's next for Disney? What I think personally,
yeah,
WWE.
Yeah, and I used to
think no.
I used to think yes.
I used to think no because it's a family business and Vince McMahon, all he cares about is his power. And if he sells the WWE, then he's got nothing left. He's got money, he's got lots of money, but what he gets off on is power. And being the head of a corporation gives him that power. However, he is starting up a new company called Alpha Sports Entertainment, where he's apparently planning to bring back the XFL. So I think he's already sold a few $1 million worth of WWE shares, or a few $100 million.
He does not learn his lesson, does he?
Nope. But I think it could be good. So he's going to go off and set up Alpha Sports Entertainment and do his thing over there.
5 minutes.
Stephanie McMahon will be doing like all her charity work. That's where her future is. You can tell her future is in being like a charity ambassador. And she can make a lot of money off of charity work, sort of ironically. The only person really at that company whose future is in pro wrestling is Triple H. And I think Vince McMahon will look to sell. I think that if Disney don't buy it, another major corporation will buy it just so Disney can't have it.
Fingers crossed, Universal.
Well, Fingers
crossed.
I think Disney might do all right with it. Possibly, I don't know. It's really difficult. Thing. It's such a difficult one. It's hard to tell.
It's like because people say that Disney's hands off, and I know I used to say that Disney's hands off, but I don't think it's a coincidence that the Star Wars films are tonally very similar to the Marvel films. And there have been some reviewers who I've got a lot of respect for that are saying no, they're not, and I have to say respectfully, they're wrong. They have the same sense of humour. Obviously the aesthetic is different because it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
But no, it's the same moments of cringe humour, stuff like that. And I don't actually get the sense that Disney is as hands off as we originally believed.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe Universal will do it good, and I think whoever takes over will leave Triple H in charge.
Yeah.
And I think he knows what he's doing there.
I mean, in a perfect world, New Japan buys it.
Oh, we could only pray. It'd be interesting to see though. It could be with like some weird like ESPN or like someone like that could buy it, or like a sports company could buy. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see.
Well, ESPN is Disney.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Shit. Damn. All right, let's go Disney then, I guess.
Yeah.
Everything's Disney. But yeah, I think we'll find out. I think it'll be this year.
You know, WME might buy because they bought the UFC.
Yeah.
and they did leave Dana White in charge. But since buying the UFC, WME have also succeeded in fucking up the UFC by having Conor McGregor getting his head knocked off by Floyd Mayweather, and
then going insane at Bellator shows.
Yeah, probably because he got his head knocked off by Floyd Mayweather. And did you hear about the doctor who put out a statement when Conor McGregor was going, "I'm just fatigued, man. At least let me go down." The doctor just said, "Well, as a medical professional, I can say that the loss of balance that Conor McGregor exhibited was not fatigue; it was concussion, and any good referee or doctor would have stopped that fight." So it was like, well, sorry, Floyd, you're not. Sorry, Floyd. Sorry, Conor. You just got smacked in the mush. So yeah, so maybe WME would maybe buy it. I mean, Warner Brothers would. I think if anyone would be the next one to start eating worlds, it would be Warner Brothers, because DC, and then if they've got the UFC, then
shit, man. Here's the thing.
WWE would make sense because of Brock Lesnar.
Thing is, though, Warner Brothers are just scum.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right,
I don't know so much about their movie.
At no point in this podcast did professional actor Andrew Bryan say that Warner Brothers are scum.
Yeah, that's all me. My personal opinion. It's just my personal opinion. Fuck it. No, Warner Brothers gaming section are undeniably, emphatically scum. I'm not even going to say that's my opinion. I'm going to say it's an absolute out-and-out fact. The way they've been pushing their loot boxes and the way they fucked up Shadow of War. Fuck Warner Brothers games and everything they stand for.
Professional actor Andrew Bryan has no real opinion on Warner Brothers. He does not typically play their games, but he's not a huge gamer. All of this is just courtesy of Mr. Van Lint. Thank you.
Absolutely. Got a career to protect, man. It's like dangerous shit. You're playing a dangerous game here on this podcast.
I know, because I have to fight.
That's all you get for teaming up with someone so volatile.
Closing thoughts on the Fox-Disney merger.
Closing thoughts on the Fox-Disney merger. Sorry, I've just got a text. Disney want to buy my life. I belong to Disney now, so I think it's great.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to check my phone. No, they're not interested in me. It seems.
It's because of those things. Because you wouldn't be any. It's because you wouldn't be committal on Warner Brothers. Disney wants someone who's going to say fuck the competition.
Oh, well. Pitch time.
Pitch time.
Pitch time.
Son of a pitch.
Oh, son of a pitch.
Pitch me harder, Daddy.
Are you the catcher or the pitcher?
This is us pitching names for the pitching segment.
Yeah.
Pitcher 10. Wait, what's the carry on? What's the carry on catchphrase in the carry on for Zoke? Missus. It's not that.
Oh, matron.
Oh, yeah. Okay. This pitcher 10. Oh, matron.
Okay, so we have to pitch movies within the confines of the rules established by the other person, and it's on the spot.
Oh, we have to. I thought we were going to come up with a concept and then pitch it together.
Oh no!
Oh god, I have to come up with it myself.
I'm the movie producer.
Yep.
I am a liberal-minded, not abusive movie producer.
Okay. So I can't just fuck you and get a deal.
No.
Damn it.
But if your movie's not good, you can be sleeping with the fishes. Okay, I have got mob connections. I might not be a sex pest, but I'm a dangerous man.
So the movie's got to be good.
Yeah. All right. So we need to make over 500 million, which is not. It's not too much, but you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be an action thriller.
Yes.
Starring Eva Marie.
Starring Eva Marie.
Yeah.
Eva Marie. The first female James Bond, I'm thinking.
Okay.
I'm thinking Daniel Craig's going. I think the first female James Bond. Oh no, fuck it. Everyone's a woman in James Bond. Not like everyone. It's not like an all-female production, but it's like all of the people that are usually men. So you've got Eve Marie as James Bond.
Right.
You've got
Q.
Joanna Lumley can be the villain.
Okay. Right.
She's I don't know, some sort
Be the first American James Bond as well, wouldn't
it? She can be called Dr. XX or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, because chromosomes.
Okay.
Female director.
Okay.
Probably the bird who did Bridesmaids.
That was directed by a man.
Was it?
Yeah, that was directed by the same guy that directed the female Ghostbusters.
Oh, I assumed that was a woman.
No.
I'm going to be honest here. I don't know any female directors.
Yeah, well, you see, I can't help you out. I can think of some good ones here.
All right, I'm going to get my team on it. My team are going to hire the best female director.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the first female James Bond, and yeah, I think it's called it's named after the villain in the same manner of Doctor No. It's named after the villain, so it's going to be called like Captain XX.
Okay.
That's the name of the name of the film.
Okay, so what's the plot?
The plot. The plot is. It's got to be something like, I don't know. Can we have an evil? Because this is going to be like one of those feminist projects. We're gonna make millions off of creating a strong, independent female franchise. I'm thinking if we do that, can we have an evil woman? Can the villain really be female? If that's our goal. Because the message we've got to send is that women can't possibly be evil. So that's a tricky one. On one hand, there should be lots of powerful women in this movie, but on the other hand, we need to send the message to young girls that women can never possibly be evil.
So what's the plot?
The plot. Okay, so the villain's a man. I've just decided.
Okay, who's he played by?
Who's he played by? It's got to be a rich, white, straight man. I'm thinking like probably Tom Hiddleston.
Okay,
he's sort of young.
Interesting,
sort of
because you'd hear Tom Hiddleston in the next James Bond film, and you'd be like, "Ooh."
Yeah, and
then
that would sort of offset the whole Eva Marie as James Bond, Jane Bond.
That's what gets the controversy going.
Yeah, Jane Bond. That's what people respect it, because people are like, all right, they've gone for a new James Bond, Jane Bond, and they're using a relatively unknown up and comer actress rather than a well established star. So we're getting off on that foot. And the Tom Hiddleston, basically, his villain in the movie is he's very corrupt. He's less of like a blow things up villain. He's a political manoeuvring villain. He's used it, and James Bond has sort of got for the first time, rather than just going in with guns blazing, has got to overcome the mental and political side of it, because Tom Hiddleston's character is heavily campaigning for keeping tampon tax.
Oh, this is not my fault. Okay, so as it were.
No, that's it.
Oh, we're not going to find out any of the resolution, or
well, it's got to have a feel good ending. So at the end, they abolish all tax on all sorts of tampons and sanitary towels, anything like that.
And this is what MI6 are concerned with.
Yeah.
Right.
Mel Gibson, Fact of the Week.
Contrary to popular belief, Mel Gibson is not Australian. He is actually American, having moved to Sydney, Australia at age 12.
Mel Gibson, Fact of the Week.
Okay, so I guess it's my turn.
So now I need it. Okay, so got to think of a pitch for you. Okay.
Alright.
Here's what I want.
Okay.
I want this film again. It's got to make at least 500 mil. This has got to be what you need to create is the first ever successful video game adaptation movie. The source material is Goat Simulator.
Okay.
That's your only restraint, is that you've got to make the Goat Simulator into if we can franchise this thing,
right? And
we're quids in.
Okay, so am I? What am I specifically in charge of? Like, can I direct?
If you want to direct, you can direct. If not, you can hire a director. You got to, like, what's the plot for this thing?
Right. For the sake of the pitch, I'm not going to direct, but I am going to write.
Okay.
Okay, so for Goat Simulator, I think what we really need is to be a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but not to the point where we're embarrassed that we're making Goat Simulator. So we need a director who is funny, can toe the line a little bit, but is not a director that needs to be the writer of his own script. Because the first thing that came to my mind was Edgar Wright, but I realised that Edgar Wright always writes his films, and I can't pitch a plot with Edgar Wright writing because I'm not Edgar Wright. So I am getting Jordan Peele of Get Out fame and Key and Peele, and what we're going to do. So the plot is essentially this. So Jordan Peele, who is also in the movie, because it's going to be one of these type of films, he is trying to build the first ever communicator between species, universal. We will be able to understand the very basic instincts of animals, because of course when you think, you don't really think in words, do you? Like, it's more impulses. But we could get closer to communicate with animals if we understand the basic impulses. So they're trying it out on mice, and the mice they're not really picking it up. Like, they're intelligent, but they're so fixed into problem solving that there's no need for the mice to communicate with us, because they immediately get about, if a mouse wants cheese, it immediately gets about solving the puzzle. It doesn't look for help. So they think, well, we need an animal that's more social. So they want to get chimpanzees, and they can't because of the extortionate price of keeping a chimpanzee.
And they've seen Planet of the Apes.
Exactly, they've seen Planet of the Apes. They have, and they're not going there. So they think, well, what is a cheap and available social animal? So they get goats, and they start building this this machine. And finally, Jordan Peele is there, and he's a scientist, you know, and he leans in, and he's like, "So we're getting there. We're getting closer." And he's like, "We're getting the reading." And then they find out that goats just want to fucking take over the world. These goats, they just want to murder.
Hell-bent on domination.
They want to raise the devil himself. They find out that the whole goats and Satan thing, fucking true. So now he's like, oh shit, how do we stop this? How do we stop this? Because these goats, it turns out that this machine has made them all communally aware of each other, and now they're going to rise together to raise the devil. They start taking over. Jordan Peele realizes there's only one way he can stop it, and that is by becoming the goat. So they make a sort of like a Terminator, sort of like metal skeleton, but flesh over, like a goat Terminator, and he puts his brain into it, and that's the Goat Simulator.
That's the goat. It's a Goat Simulator,
and that has the tongue.
Yeah.
And it's and he's got to go in, and he's got to find like the alpha billy goat, where this satanic ritual is going on, trying to raise the devil. He's got to stop stop them at all costs. It's going to be a comedy. It's not taking itself too seriously. But it's not embarrassed either.
It's not
we're
like
very
super self-referential.
No, it's not. It's like we're very aware that we're making Goat Simulator, and we're quite happy about it. Jordan Peele is a good actor. He's a good director, and he's good at directing the sort of comedy horror blend where, just depending on if you squint or not, it's funny or scary, kind of like Get Out.
Yeah.
And obviously the subject matter is nowhere near as political as Get Out.
Yeah.
But that is my pitch. That is my pitch.
I think you've done pretty well, and I imagine the final act is after they have successfully risen the devil, a battle between the goat simulator goat and the devil.
The devil goat itself.
Nice.
Yeah.
Actually, strangely interested to watch that film.
You went for just like shit posting.
Yeah, I thought there's no way he can make this work. But
it'd probably still be critically panned, but in my mind, it's good.
No, I feel like it would be unfairly panned just because it was Goat Simulator. But I feel like if people disconnected that and just watched it as a film, there'd be something that everyone can really appreciate from it. Not bad.
Well, there we go. Those were our pitches.
You can vote for who won.
If you're watching.
Which film do you want to see more? Do you want to see the robot goat man versus the devil, or do you want to see Eve Marie fighting for tampon tax
As James Bond.
as Jane Bond?
Jane Bond, sorry. Well, this has been the JADed podcast. Thank you and good night.